Alright, so in this video it's going to be, smoke and fire according to me, or at least, my workflow on how I approach it. So this one is actually a live demonstration I'm doing for one of my friends, but also I'm recording it so that anyone who watches this also will, not have to ask about fire, or at least, has a good workflow for just jumping in, doing it, and, how to approach it. So, with that, we'll begin. I'm going to go ahead and delete all my stuff. Now, at the beginning I did have a splash screen up. That's just so y'all can see my build. I'm always using a build from, buildbot.blender.org. So I'm just insert a plane and immediately go under quick effects, quick smoke. And, immediately after going under that, I'll scale the domain and immediately I have smoke. So the smoke's all black. That's because I deleted my light. If I put a light in here, we can now, see the smoke being lit, via GLSL. So, that'll help us out. Also, maybe I shouldn't have deleted the camera. I'll just put another camera, Control Shift 0, get it in there. And we'll just set the resolution to be 1000 by 2000. Render at 50%. Doesn't really matter at this point. And so, here's my scene framed up. And we're just going to be watching smoke. And in this one, this will be my workhorse, So, first thing is, the smoke is making it to the ceiling. So that's something I probably want to prevent. I could make the domain bigger. I could play with the new adaptive smoke stuff they added over the summer. But, I also could just go over to the domain, turn on dissolve, give it like 15. And, when I play it now, you see it just doesn't reach as far. And I can even pull the time up. So, the best thing about the smoke in Blender and fire, with the new improvements, you can actually interactively adjust these things while you're using the actual interface, as long as you keep your domain resolutions low. And so usually it's at this point that I fine-tune it. I'll come in, drop a vortex, and you see off the bat what the vortex does whenever you rotate it. It just, helps it swirl a little bit. Maybe I want to lower that power, maybe to a 0.6, maybe 0.4, there we go. And we'll also scale up the domain. It'll help it, just with that little whip, I like that. That's looking pretty good. Now, in addition to that, I've also been spending some time learning Maya smoke, and it's got my mind thinking about how I should be approaching it. So now I know I should be throwing in turbulences and taking advantage of that. I think this one I probably didn't play with on my previous ones, but this one will just add a little extra noise to it, kind of making it slightly more detailed. And I could be inaccurate in all this. I'm just telling you my approach to smoke and fire. Now, making fire is easy now. You don't even have to make a shader to, make this fire. All you have to do is, change to smoke and fire. And, keep in mind, on the domain, the resolutions are still low. And if we turn on, adaptive domain, you can see what that's like. It just creates a domain, that resizes on the fly, helps it, run a little faster. And so, if we want to see what it looks like a little bit better, we can raise to 64, much richer, much wispier, more interesting. And then if we want to entry price it, we could hit high resolution and, begin looking at something a little closer to, what my final result's going to be. But for the sake of interactivity, we're going to, put the resolution back. Turn off adaptive domain, don't want to look at that. And continue messing with what we got here. So by selecting the plane, this is just a mesh. If I had a particle system, I could make particles emit flames, but, mesh is just so much easier. Just put a plane, mesh, done. So you can also, raise the fire, make more fire in your smoke. If you start cranking these settings up, you don't get this level of interactivity where you can see, how it influences it in real time. And from my experiences with Maya, I see that, this is kind of powerful because you don't have that type of control there. I mean, maybe my resolution was too high, but I mean, even my final simulation, when I was running through it recently, I just realized, Blender has it pretty good. So, I mean, you should definitely be making more smoke and fire in Blender, not be like our buddy here in the live audience who's not speaking that was contemplating just using Photoshop, I mean, I could also do the trick, but you just don't get to control it, So I decided I want this to be a wall of fire. And we'll bring that up, and bam, wall of fire. Everything's just out of control now, call a firefighter. And you see also that the mesh is hitting the bottom, and that's because of this surface attribute. We start turning that down, it starts getting a little closer to home, a little closer to that plane. And that might be what you want, absolute control. So, here we have a nice smoky fire, something that'll get the attention of even the most nonchalant park ranger. But, still, let's see, last time I didn't play with the idea of keying it, so let's give that a try. So I'm going to just go back to the first frame. I'm going to put it all the way at 0, press I, move over a couple of frames, bring this up, hover my cursor, press I, bring it up a bit more, press I. So if we play it back, I don't even have to bake this. I can just test it out as we go here. Except I'm not sure if this attribute is... There we go. So yeah, it's kind of whipping up, but I think it's whipping up a bit high here. So we may want to lower that back down to 0. Just see how that goes. Yeah, this thing's not obeying me, so let's try it again. Rekey it. There we go. So, at this point, you probably want to play with the dope sheet. Dope sheet's a good way to play with your timings. So, let's drag it up, let it die down. Our smoke should triumph somewhere. This is the part where it should probably really be just getting up there, So yeah, burning up high, and then dies back down around a frame we didn't even make it to. So I'll just put my cursor here, drag it to the frame I want it to end at, put my cursor over the timeline, press E. That'll set my end frame to, be that frame, so I don't have to deal with this. In case you never noticed, my workflow is all about using as few keystrokes as possible. Press home over the timeline, recenter it. Now we're cooking. No fire pun intended. Well, maybe a little bit. I deserve it. So, bringing up more flames. And this thing's not even going to listen to me. In fact, reason it is because under the cache, it's only set to go here, so we haven't even saved this file yet. We'll just save it in tutorials, fire talk. So if any of you guys out there have any questions, go ahead and ask, since this is a live video. So if y'all need me to go into emphasis on any of these settings, E and A, I'll just call y'all by y'all's abbreviations, just let me know. And so I still don't like the overall timing. I think it should get up there, calm down much quicker. Maybe the simulation doesn't have to be that long. In fact, this part should just come up quicker. Now I'm thinking of making it a GIF, and we'll just let it get to about here. Press E. We'll copy this, paste it. Control C, Control V, and so now we see, here's our fire. And there's still things we can do with it. We can duplicate this, put it up here, raise the strength a little bit, and let's see what we get here. So this will be a fun little control to play with too. And we just put this back on the first frame, click this little record button, rotate to the left, rotate to the right, rotate to the left, and rotate it all night. And then if we go back and play the animation, whoosh, whoosh, and maybe even scale up the domain a little bit. And in fact, we can scale it down that way since we're not looking at it from the side. Realize it's a horrible choice. Undo it. And here's what we got. So to top this thing off, I'm not even going to go over the whole material thing. I'm just gonna keep it simple there, for the sake of time. But let me just tell you that Blender Cookie has a very good video on making realistic fire that I've completely used as far as referencing my own workflow for doing it. So you should really just watch it because they explain it much better. To be honest, I actually had to watch it like 2 or 3 times. Now under step calculation, we want to go ahead and lower this to be 0. Basically, when it comes to values, instead of changing them, I just put my cursor at the end and press /2, and it just divides it by half. And I just divide everything by half, multiply it by 2, and just use rules of halves to just jump around these settings as far as finding out what they do. Unless I'm just wacky pulling sliders, but if you want a more constrained way of doing it where you actually can understand what you're doing to get there instead of just finding magic numbers, then you may want to try checking into coming in here and just being like times 2 divided by 2. I think I showed y'all another trick where you can take a circle, put it in the center, turn off automatic keyframing, press Alt-I so we don't have that keyframe. You got to be mindful of that kind of stuff. It will annoy you. And also we'll just throw in an empty, and we'll take the camera, select the empty. I said empty. And actually, here we'll just go in local mode for a moment with / Control T. Now you see, no matter what, the camera is looking at that empty, and that's really important for me because I need my camera to look there where I'm pointing. And so now you see I've taken the camera, Control P to object. Now the camera is parented to the circle, and so I can just literally take this circle, spin it around, and get a nice little turntable. So in one of these last little group meetups, I went over a tip I saw on Greg Zoll's blog where basically you can put a equation here, or a little incantation, frame times 0.05, enter. Now it's a driver. Automatically creates a driver, and now based off of the frames, this thing will just rotate around and around, and it's just magic. I used to have to go in, create 2 keyframes, make a vector curve. That's just much easier. So this is what we're looking at now is just making fire and spinning around it like a madman. So I'm too used to Maya having the ability to mute. In fact, to do it here, I would have to probably just delete the circle. I'm not even going to go through that. but having something spin like that's going to get old, so we'll just make another camera, Control P, make that the active camera. There we go, now we're looking in the right camera. And so we still have that turntable camera. All I did was duplicate it, press, I believe it was Control Control 0 to make it an active camera. You know, so we're just looking out this one that's not spinning. You know, this one can go to the birds, use it later. And now we're looking at our fire again. Except I don't like my framework. You know, I don't like my camera framing. Here we go. So that's a little bit better. I think if I sworn I was looking at this. Alright, whatever, it's just clear to tracking. Here's our flame. Sorry about that. And so now we can finally come over to our domain and price our settings. So, you know, 170 frames is how many we got. High resolution to change this to FFT. If you don't know why, then just do it, or just experiment with it, which is pretty much what I do. Just experiment with it on low. You know, you see that there's a lot of control, and you know, I can even turn up subframes, which will you know, help it with faster moving smoke. But you know, in this case, it's not actually even necessary. And I'm gonna pause the video. In case you don't know how to bake, you select the domain under cache, set your frames up, make sure you save the file. If the file is not saved, you cannot bake, and hit bake. Bugs are trying to get me. Alright, so I'm back. So the baking is done, and you know, we play it out, and you know, we got real nice, you know, wispy effect, you know, beautiful, beautiful fire. Now the best thing about this is, you know, from the very get-go, you know, I went in and under object, went under quick effects, and there's quick smoke. There's also quick fluid, quick smoke, there's quick smoke, quick explode, quick fur. So I mean, if you need it quick, go to that quick menu, man, because that's pretty much what I do, and I just use those starting settings and go from there. So, you know, I'm going to just do a test render and show you all, you know, what it's going to look like in the render right now, you know, with this setup, you know, and then, you know, I'm going to show you what it'll look like with the shader that actually built following that video on Blender Cookie. And it's kind of an old video, but, you know, it's probably one of their best ones. You know, there's quite a few videos that I like, but that one was especially good. So, you know, I'm going to stop this render and point out, you know, if the background in your render is this color, you should slam your head in your front door until it isn't. Alright? Because you just should not use that color. I mean, if you're going to use that color, click this button at least so it, you know, it doesn't look so bad. But, you know, I just can't see this. You know, in the old 2.4 days, you know, it was that nasty little blue color that was, don't get me started on it, you know, don't want to be hating on a program that I'm using, but, you know, it just looks much nicer against a black background. And I mean, if you're going to comp this over another picture, you're going to want to screen it, so you're going to want to have it on a black background. So, you know, let's see if this thing gives me an alpha pass. And it does. You know, I got alpha, I think. Nope, it took away my alpha. You know, didn't like me. So, you know, under render settings and shading, change alpha to transparent. If I render it again, pause it. You know, another thing too is, you know, it took a minute to render, you know, and you know, there's a couple of things we could have done to increase that. You know, the step size, I'm not changing. I need it to be as small as possible. But, you know, I'm going to raise my tile size, you know, like as if I'm Greg Zoll, and go ahead and render again. And just bigger squares, slightly quicker render. I mean, if you have the computer that's capable of handling it, then you should definitely experiment with the tiles. If you're using cycles and you're wondering why your final renders are coming out slow, you know, maybe you shouldn't use tiles that are 32 by 32. Maybe you should look at trying to use maybe 256. But, you know, I assume most people already know those sort of things. So, you know, I won't go into depth on that. But, you know, here's my fire with a nice background. Now this fire will do. You know, this is, to me, this is like PS2 fire. So, you know, nothing that's gonna, you know, set my heart on fire. But if I actually go through and link a particular shader from, let's see, I might have to pause this to locate it. That's how many folders I have in my blends, and that is a bad thing. You know, here it is actually. You know, usually I go through and I consolidate all of my blends. I'll copy and paste them into one blend and save them as they get to 50 megs. And then that way I just have, like, you know, libraries. I think I went over that in a old video. I'm just going to go with this, take a material, smoke domain 001, and we're just going to take this and replace it with this other material. And, you know, if you really want this material, just let me know. You know, I'll give you the material. But, you know, the tutorial is probably a paid one. I think I bought a membership just to see it because the fire looks so nice. So domain object, it's just called smoke domain. I don't know what I was thinking about there. And I'm just going to copy that and paste it and paste it and paste it. And so, you know, now it has the right information plugged into it. And we're going to render this puppy out, and I'm actually going to press J so I jump to another slot, render it, and then we can compare the two. Alright, so we're back from the render. You know, this is the result. And if we compare, you know, the previous with this one, we see that, you know, this fire has much more depth to it. Now also, this fire looks horrible. Like, what's going on up here? Everything's so round. This is like liquid metal fire. Like, something's gonna form out of this fire because, you know, there's just not enough detail. You know, I hit the high resolution, put it on 2, you know. I Andrew price it, but I didn't Andrew price it hard enough. You know, and that's because if we hit free bake, we see that we should probably jump this up too. You know, I'm gonna jump it up to 128 because I'm not trying to push the limits. Maybe, you know, I'm gonna try to push the limits. All right, just this time, you know, I'm gonna set it to like 256. You know, don't tell anybody. This is our little secret. You know, so if my computer's smoking, my girlfriend comes home and I'm like, you know, we got to get a new computer. You know, I'm gonna be like, I wasn't doing anything. I was just browsing, and it happened. You know, not, you know, I was pushing it to the limits because I was making a video. Just kidding, but I'll be right. Alright, so pushing it to the limits is in no way endorsed or promoted by Master Xeon or its affiliates at all. In fact, pushing it to the limits was a regrettable mistake. And so I'm back telling you, you know, I'm going to put these at 128 because, you know, I've experimented and that just works out for me. But one day I'll push it to the limit, but not today, alright? Yeah, my bad. Don't be pushing it to the limits now. So I'm going to go ahead and also lower my time to be 24 and hit bake. And we'll get this one today. Alright, so after a lengthy bake, it is finished. And so if we play it back in the viewport, you know, as slow as Christmas, but, you know, hopefully as good as Christmas. Oh god, is this thing playing? Oh, there you go. Alright, so I wasn't even playing then. So, with the high resolution set to 2 and all that, the division set to 128, you see that, the smoke and fire is much less dense. So usually, as you go up in divisions, you may also want to increase your density, but those are also things that you can show in the shader. So, I'm going to show you a render of this. I think, let's see what's in my render buffer. So, this is what you get with the quick smoke. And then this is what you get with the enhanced shader I was showing. And then, if we jump this over to slot 3, render again, pause the recorder. Alright, so, now we're back looking at it. And I think, it does look a bit better. However, it's not as vibrant as the previous. In fact, it's also probably because of the keyframe. I'm pretty sure I keyframe, yeah, this is keyframe number 96. So, just to be fair, let's actually render frame 96. And I'll be right back. Alright, so that render is complete. So now we can comparatively look at these frames, and they're all at the same frame. So this one, definitely shows a lot more activity. I was explaining to Ollie in the intermission. Yeah, so explain to Ollie basically about, the step size and its render times. We look at this render that we have here, and, even though I'm using the internal engine, for personal reasons, it's just too damn slow in cycles right now to be messing with cycle smoke. So I'm gonna give them like a year to get that right, and then I'll try it again. But I can't be waiting like that. But I'll be back. Just volumetrics in general and cycles, they'll get it right, but just need a little bit of time. So this took 1 minute and 11 seconds, which isn't a long time, but it is to me. So we're going to change that step size to just 0.1, and we're just going to compare, what that does. And, increasing the value so drastically does introduce artifacts. Bam, bam, artifacts in your face. Artifacts, artifacts. Nobody wants to know artifacts, alright? But, they're here. So, me being the person I am, I would say, hey, 23 seconds isn't that bad, and from far away, it looks like some fire. But, I think even this one looks better than this last one, but, just for humor, we could go in a compositor and, play with this and make it look less bad, even though it looks bad in the render. But, the compositor is definitely a tool that you shouldn't be afraid to just get in and start using. And first we'll try a filter, that cleans it up. We'll double filter, it gets rid of a lot of the detail, but, whatever. Then maybe hide that, put a little glare on it. Lower the threshold to like 0.3. See what we get. Nothing. Lower it to 0. Bling bling fire. So here we go. And so with that, I'd probably call it a day. The glare would probably distract him a little bit, long enough for you to make your exit. But, comparatively, if we look at, and then if we want to even add on to that, distort, lens distortion, a little bit of dispersion, won't hurt, divided by half like I'm always talking about. And really, you can't even tell if this was rendered with some horrible artifacting and was polished up. But I can. So don't try to pass it by me. I'll call you out. So we'll delete this viewer and add in a split viewer and just compare them both. So this is what we start with and this is what we end with. So a little bit of compositing could take you a long ways. What you get out of pressing F12 you're not supposed to post on the internet. you're supposed to post, you know, your composited result, you know, after color grading and, you know, getting the lights right and making sure your shadows aren't jagged, you know, all the no-brainer stuff. But, you know, a little bit of compositing can definitely go a long ways. And I mean, there's still even more you can do. You know, these lines are a journey. And so we throw in an RGB curve, like an interjection, start boosting it. You know, we see that brings back some of the smoke just on the split viewer. And now we can see the whole thing. So before, after, before, after. So I mean, if you just connect each node to the next node and just pull these levers till they make sense, you know, you'll find yourself to be a compositing master in no time. But, you know, get in there and use it. And so with that, I conclude this. Alright, so this is another cool effect that I wanted to try out, you know, while simulations being a nice little boy today. And so, you know, change snap into vertex. And we're just going to put a plane underneath this one. And, you know, come and add a ton of particles. You know, that's how you use the cell fracture. You add your particles first. Then under cell fracture, we're going to stick with the same values of 666. They've been working very nice today. So, you know, that's going to take a minute. I forget about that. I mean, but if you look at it real close, you can see it creating booleans and cutting them off. Are you done yet? No, you're not. Alright. So it's done now. So if we go to the next layer, these are our shards on the ground. You know, I should have used a grease pencil and like drawn some lines to indicate, you know, that I want the fractures like this, because that's basically how we're gonna have it fracture. But you know, I didn't. So my bad. So, you know, under physics, add passive, change it to wire, hide, select all of this stuff. You know, it did real nice on the edges. We'll add active. Didn't need it to do nice on the edges though. And so this is also being recorded from a live studio audience. So we'll just choose a copy from active to copy these attributes. Then we'll go to calculate mass, so everything has the thickness of gold. You know, maybe not gold. You know, that's a bad idea, to be honest. You know, I should quit experimenting. But it's worked out good for me so far. So the next thing is we got to make our little ledger, you know. And so here we go. And we'll just make something similar to this. So, you know, we're going to chop through it with this block of cheese. And, you know, we'll just choose lock rot. You know, don't even need the rot, but, you know, maybe I do. No, don't judge me. Maybe I need it today. So I'm going to move this up, add another lock rot, and press E. And here we are, coming through. Now we see how easily the knife slices through the cheese, or the cheese slices through the knife. No, I'm kidding. Alright, so we'll add active to this, make it animated, and now we come through and boom. So this is horrible. That's way too much destruction. Well, here, alright, so you want to see it again? Fine. Alright. But yeah, way too much destruction. What's going to come through something like that? You know, what I should do is copy and paste a quick character in it and just replace it. You know, make it something awesome. Um, so what we'll do is take these pieces and we'll give them a different mass. Give it the mass of here, we'll just go with stone. So now it's working a little better, but we need some restraints. Give these too much freedom, never know what they do. So we'll GY. Well, now we need a rock sliding sound if you're gonna do that. So we'll put these together, make it a passive, and I definitely don't want to see that. So now it's more controlled, but I mean that thing is killing it. So let's bring it in. Here we go. That's more of the effect I'm looking for. So here we are coming through, bam. And we'll hide that, let it play through again, all the way through. Oh God, I knew that was gonna happen. Crazy stuff, always happens, never fails. So we'll just call this test 4, and let's see, under your scene settings, this is a weird place to put this. That's why I keep forgetting, to be honest. Like, I don't know why this is here. They should also put it there, but then people would complain about it being in 2 places at once. But, just my thoughts. Alright. Also, before bacon, let's play with gravity. Let's just see how weird things can get. But too weird. Here, we'll make it less weird. That would be cool. That's very Dragon Ball Z. It's like, a power level over 9,000. No, just kidding. Power levels have been over 9,000 since like 1992. I think that was like when it happened in the series, man. Like, it was old. Alright, so maybe lower it down a little bit more. I'm leaning towards not having any gravity, but I want them to go some way. But, maybe a little bit in the opposite direction, to be honest. Alright, and this time we do want 250 frames. And see, by tweaking this, you can actually see how it reacts in real time. Like, your effects of your gravity. You just don't have that kind of control in other places that I won't name off. But, it's there. Let me tell you. Some of the biggest programs out there are not as sophisticated when it comes to this sort of stuff. I had to shatter a cube in another program as a comparison, man. You have to delete the history on a cube you barely insert? I'm just saying. Just saying. Just to shatter it. It's a damn shame. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think I mentioned in my last video that I'm also learning Maya at the same time. Like, I've come to like it. Not too much, don't stone me, but can't be afraid of another program. Alright, so now we look at this, and this is baked out, and it looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and next bake the keyframe 250. We'll wait for that. you know. Hey, so someone updated my Facebook about being a power level over 9,000. As I mentioned that, that's funny. Still waiting on it. It's gonna take a minute. You know, to probably make it even better, I could have just suspended animation on all of this stuff and just made it passive, but it's kind of late. Uh, you know, but you have a lot of time to think about it whenever you're waiting on a bake, about your mistakes you made while waiting on the stuff that you're baking. So, bam, that's what we have to start out with. So, let's actually, let's just let's just undo all of that, to be honest, because that's kind of a decent idea. You know, let's just take this and take this and, you know, don't tell anybody I did this, but I'm gonna join it and then I'm gonna make it passive. Alright, we'll just hit bake. That takes no time at all. Yeah, it's funny to play with these simulations than it is to play with smoke, especially when it comes to those bake times. See, the real baking comes right here when you bake it to an action. Alright, so now the simulation is done, so we can delete that. It's dead to us. And this is what we get. Not right on the timing at all, so let's start looking at just the timing. So bring down our friend, the dope sheet. You know, just easy. So, you know, first thing I want to do is click this little arrow, collapse everything, and just select pieces. I'll actually hide that. Oh, well. G5, hide. G10, hide. G15, hide. G20, hide. G25, hide, and with what's left, G30, hide. And so we bring everything back and we look at this and you're like, you know, what was he doing? You know, how do you do that? Well, or what do you do that for? But, you know, basically it's to offset the keyframes so that, you know, this will happen at a more transitional pace, you know, like, you know, instead of it just going crazy. Now, the real tragedy is the fact that all these poor soldiers that were lost after frame, looks like frame after all the fractures that were pretty much lost after frame, you know, 111. You know, we're gonna need to bring those back. So let's look at how many were lost. Well, most of them. Should have done something about that, you know. I could go back and, you know, remove the keyframes on each of these, you know, matrix mode each of them, like, you know, and just remove all the frames after this part. But let me tell you firsthand, I don't feel like doing that. So let's admire it in the viewport. And still, you know, not breaking it up like I want exactly. So, you know, let's play with the simulation a little bit more, even before all of this. Now, how far is it going to let me undo? Alright, so they're going to make me take it all the way back to the beginning. just to resimulate. But, you know, if I wanted to do this differently, then I probably would have made like a little flapper coming in here, just beating it up. But, you know, the rigid bodies is really something you can just jump in and start playing with. I mean, I use it in all sorts of different types of scenarios. I mean, now you can even affect it with forces. So here's another example. Always put them in a volume. And for this simulation, we're not going to use 666. It's taken, you know, forever. So we'll go with 222, the new mark of the beast. Alright. So now we take this and, you know, at the beginning, probably want to put a floor. And what's next? We want to add passive, change this to wire, make it unselectable. That's not wire, that's wire. And bring this up, maybe like here, add active, and let's just see what we get here. So as you see off the bat, everything starts just breaking down like some rocks. But you can do more than that. You can put in vortexes, and you know, just like when I was playing with fire, you can have these things breaking apart quite uniquely. So now I'm almost guiding the way it's exploding. I mean, the way it's collapsing. You know, if I wanted to just creep along, you know, like these rocks got somewhere to go. You know, that's why they broke down. You know, they're trying to leave the scene. So we'll make it a little faster for them. Now I am the person controlling the rocks. But I think I did a video on this like a while back where I was just basically, you know, making something, oh, snap, it turned to a payday. So let's see what other ones we have to play with here. Here's magnetic, way too high. Oh wow, it's grooving at you. Hey baby. Give me some sugar. These rocks really have somewhere to go. But I mean, I see stuff like this and I just start thinking of what ifs, you know. I mean, not, you know, making softcore rock porn, but you know, just just simulations just in general. So, you know, this seems to be pretty interesting. So let's, you know, make it more interesting. Make two, you know, maybe I'll make it twice as interesting. It's a dance party, dance party, dance party. No, okay. The rocks just went crazy. Alright, so bring in another one. And you see it, they try to go at the magnet, but they slide away. Like those are his rocks. In addition to that, you know, I just play with all the simulations, just kind of see what they do. Like this Leonard Jones, I don't know what it's doing, but I'm gonna find out. So, you know, turning it up to alright. So let's see, we already went through magnetic. Leonard Jones doesn't do anything. personal against Leonard. So let's see what the texture does. And this is like my creative process for just messing around, is just finding out just what each thing does, while it's something simple that you can see interactively. That's pretty cool. So now we see that this is a clouds fill. I can see that the actions are a bit erratic, so let's change it to something cooler. Let's change it to a blur. So blur is also a bit interesting, except we can make it more interesting. Oh, wow. Wow, that is crazy. I did not expect that last part. In fact, let's make this even more interesting. Let's get rid of the alpha. Let's insert another shade of black. So I'm going to have to hold on to that one and come back to that later, but we'll switch this over to number 1, which was nothing. We'll change to clouds, so you remember what clouds did. What about something like noise? Noise does what noise is expected to do. But let's lower the strength a bit. Oh, wow. So here we go. Now we're kind of jiggling it apart. That's a pretty interesting effect. Let's see how tube and sphere make it behave. I think I like that. I am crazy enough to bake it. I'll overwrite my old test, go back to the beginning, under the scene tab where this shouldn't be. And we'll bake the keyframe. This will be done when I click the button to make it be done.
Sounds like a Doctor Who effect.
So, with this all baked out, we see this thing just a jiggling, falling apart. And with the exception of the fact that the pieces are just coming to life and jumping around on the floor having a party of their own, that would look pretty cool. Commence the jiggling. But yeah, get in there, shatter some stuff, have at it.
my mouth open again, I never know. I really know I can't say again, I never know. I wanna show what's missing. Too bad I talk alone every day, resisting thoughts again, so on and on. Some of them brought in fears of every time. Some of them give and doubts nowhere to go. Some of them will require what you need. If I don't match your anticipation, if I don't make your guarantee, a similar balance unless at least I try to get on by. I feel I'm getting a lot, I'm in a rest of eyes. The less I do, follow me up, I'll get no one. Similar balance unless at least I try to get on by. I feel I'm getting a lot, I'm in a rest of eyes. The less I do, a similar balance unless I fainted wide, impressed on me, and so in keeping on withdrawn. Follow me up, I'll get no one. Some of them brought in fears of every time. So we hear reports of guillotine. I feel in my broad terms of all I know. I'm keeping one phrase alone to never leave. I don't want
Has this ever happened to you?
I hate this baby!
Me too!
It doesn't have to be this way. At babiesovernight.com, you pick the kind of baby you want online and have it delivered the next day. No cord to cut, no morning sickness, no going for 9 months without sex. Choose from all creeds and colors. Just listen to a few of our satisfied customers.
It's great! If you don't like the one they send you, just throw it in the trash and they send a new one. No questions asked. I definitely use them again.
babiesovernight.com. Your new bundle of joy in a box overnight. Guaranteed.
Dad, I hit a home run. Dad?
Just a second.
Dad.
Look, can't you see I'm tapping out an email to work?
But it's Saturday. All you care about is your email. That's why Mom is fucking your best friend.
I said I'm sending an email to work. Shut the fuck up.
The Bittersweet personal email device. Always on, never at home. Try the constantly connected, perpetually disconnected, AdWork 24/7 future of the Bittersweet. Be everywhere and nowhere with instant email. The Bittersweet.